And I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock on the nose. Before we start this meeting, I would like to take and have a minute of silence for the Humboldt Bronco team. If that's okay with everybody, we'll take a minute. Okay. Okay, if we could have somebody adopt the agenda.
I'll make the move. We adopt the agenda as presented.
Councillor Moore. All in favor? Carried. And before we get any further in, I would just like to take a minute and introduce Bradley Schnell.
Brady.
Brady? You know I wrote Brady down too. I'm sorry about that.
Happens all the time. It's okay.
Brady is our new ED, Economic Development Officer. EDO.
Nice.
He is starting with us now, today?
First day today,
First day today for the overlap for 1 week with Justin.
Yeah,
Right?
that's right. Yeah, I had a good day, a good first day with Justin, and he'll be here till Friday to help me transition into the job.
Pretty big beard to fill, so.
Got a ways to go.
Okay, we'll take a look at the minutes, March 26th. Any errors or omissions? Anybody caught? Any questions? Have a motion, please, to accept.
I move to accept.
Councillor Schultz. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Now we have to suspend our meeting, right? Adjourn our meeting.
Adjourn to the public hearing.
Yeah, we need to adjourn to the public hearing. I need a motion for that. Councillor Courage. All in favor of that? Carried. Okay, we're opening the public hearing for bylaw 1640, a land use bylaw amendment. And we have a few speakers that would like to address it. The first one up would be Graham Boyle. If you'd like to step up and have a word.
Yep. I wrote a few things down here.
Oh,
Sorry, just procedurally, if I might. Can we just have a motion to open the public hearing for the record?
where's my first one? Sorry. Can we get a
I'll
motion?
make a motion that we open up a public hearing.
All in favor of that? Carried. Okay, Graham, you're up.
I can be heard now?
Now you can.
Thank you, Greg.
Go on in, Brian.
Oh, sure. Looking for a share. Sorry.
Good shot today.
Okay, Graham, go ahead.
Do I need to stand?
You can do it however you feel comfortable.
I'll stand, I guess. I can't see anybody. Well, the article in the local press says that the property does fit the R5 land use district criteria for the minimum lot size. But what the article fails to mention is the present size of the apartments in the building. They do not fit the R5 land use district area criteria. So according to the bylaw for R5 land use, there needs to be a minimum floor area for each apartment of 500 square feet. And this building presently has, to my knowledge, apartment floor areas that are just over 300 square feet. Now the article in the local press says that the applicant's intent is to use the building as is. So doesn't the applicant need to abide by the bylaws minimum 500 square feet of floor area for apartments as indicated in the R5 land use district area? If the rezoning of this building is to apartment R5, if it's approved, wouldn't the applicant, in failing to abide by the bylaw, be given an advantage over other apartments in our town that are abiding by this bylaw? By having smaller apartments of just over 300 square feet rather than 500 square feet, this applicant will be able to charge a lower rent for his residents and I will make no mention of the demographic or socioeconomic characteristics of the land users, as was outlined in the local press. As residents in the area, we purchased our homes. We were aware of the nature of the use of the building that was in front of us. And now it appears that the value of our homes could be less because of this possible rezoning. When a previous application of this nature was made to rezone the building to apartment R5, we appreciated that our town council at that time took our concerns into consideration and they voted this rezoning down. They were well aware that the sale and the rezoning of this building would be additional money in the town's pockets. But no, they put the concerns of their local residents in the area first, as well as the concerns of the other apartment owners in the town first. So we appreciated that they put the concerns of the people before money, and we would like you to seriously consider doing the same. Or at least have them abide by the bylaw and change it so their apartment sizes are according to the bylaw, which is 500 square feet.
Okay, next we have Joe Starr. Is Joe here?
Yep, right here. Hello everyone, I'm the applicant for the site, so I do appreciate the concerns that were made by the gentleman before me. I did hold an open house in October. I do recognize there was one lady did show up. We did have a discussion. We talked about the development. I sought to get feedback from the community. The gentleman, I did understand from the town, there was one gentleman that would be speaking today. I did offer my phone number, my email address, to communicate about the intent of the development and what's going on. And one of the core reasons for this development being applied for as an apartment building is with respect to a recent Court of Queen's Bench decision with respect to seniors and the concept of ageism. So ultimately this building will be to house seniors as originally developed, originally contemplated 10 years ago. However, with respect to the adherence to the current legislation, the apartment building essentially allows for anybody to live in there. However, with that being said, we are targeting seniors to be living there. So again, it's more of a legality reason. I understand that the gentleman mentioned that the unit sizes are smaller. That is correct. What he did mention is that property values will drop. That's simply incorrect. There's no evidence before. He didn't bring any evidence to prove that. So with that being said, I believe that the development is an asset to the community. We certainly won't be allowing people of socioeconomic disadvantage to live in that property, as alleged by the gentleman who spoke. So with that being said, I respectfully submit that the application is the proper land use. It fits in with the community, and we intend to be a good neighbor into the town of Claresholm.
I got one more speaker and then we'll open it to the floor. Gavin.
Sure.
Gavin is with Orsk. He's our planner.
Yeah, my name is Gavin Scott. I work at the Old Man River Regional Services Commission. I work in capacity as a planning analyst and coordinator for the town. My process here is really just to open up the dialogue. We've got some things started, but we're going to have to give a little bit more to council. Council has 2 memorandums from me. Last time, the original memorandum outlined what currently is in our planning documents as far as this process goes. This process includes the fact that we are moving from one district to another. The current district being R4, which is for multi-units, and the proposed district being R5, which is for apartments. The 2 districts are very similar. When you move from R4 to R5, there are a number of uses that drop off. When you move to the R5 district, it is a much tighter grouping of allowable uses. The intent of the district is for the accommodation of housing for sale and rent within the community for high-quality multi-unit dwelling within existing and proposed neighborhoods. So from that intent, the proposal can fit into an existing neighborhood, and it meets several criteria for doing so. It is within 1,500 meters of 1,500 feet of Centennial Park. There's a number of traffic, there's capability of the traffic to be held within the existing streets, so there's capacity for the number of vehicle trips that this would generate. It is next to a collector road, so that collector road is good for multi-unit travel, so that gets people around town. Commercial access for shopping and employment is one of the few weaknesses of the proposal. It is further flung, as many residences know, from the downtown and from the core shopping areas. The building has existed, so its establishment as a physical feature on the landscape is acceptable. Everybody's used to it being there. So, without going into a lot more detail, I want to parse out some of the things that the first speaker said and then the second speaker. So there's two things going on here. Rezoning is a process whereby we try to determine whether or not the land use is suitable for the location. And in this vicinity, we have a number of duplexes across the road, and we also have a sixplex that is right adjacent to this. And there's another property just to the north of this that is undeveloped and has potential for similar type development. In the rezoning process, the consideration for council is whether this is an appropriate use for this location. Some of the issues regarding whether or not they're meeting the size of the dwelling units, the parking, and these other issues that have to do with the development permit process itself, those have to wait for MPC to determine whether or not they will get approved or not approved. The unit size will require a waiver if it is approved. So there would be a waiver for that to even get it through the MPC for approval. And of course, that will all be circulated to the public. There'll be another chance for the public to respond and comment on that permit process. So you'll be eligible if this goes through tonight as a zoning, which says that it's okay for this thing to go through. It may not be okay for the number of units being proposed. So they could go with the bylaw, which would essentially cut the units from 19 down into half, 10 or 9. That would help as well with the number of traffic issues, the number of vehicles, the number of parking stalls that are required. So the existing building got a waiver because it was thought that it would be senior housing with some attentive care, and it had an in-house kitchen. So they weren't the type of living quarters that were believed to need a lot of parking. So there was a parking waiver for the previous building, and as you can see right now, the parking wasn't really well established, it's still mainly grass there. This proposal for an apartment, though, would require the full parking. It would be the two parcels or 2 parking stalls per unit. So that would double the need for parking. Now, if it can't be accommodated, the developer would run into another problem. He then, at the development permit stage, would have to come up with a solution for parking. If he can't waive it, maybe the MPC can't see the number of units working, and the number of units would drop. But that development permit process is a separate process from this. Council has to be aware of it, but cannot solely base their decision on the fact that it doesn't meet the number of units. That is another process yet to happen. So try to keep your thoughts at a higher level. The higher level of thinking is whether or not this is the appropriate location for this type of use. And going further, of course, we have Cottonwood nearby. If you were to annex land to the west, the municipal development plan says that it's appropriate for this type of use on the southwest and southwest corners of this area. So multi-unit is proposed within your current document at the MPP level. If you have questions, you can certainly ask me, and I'll try to clarify any points. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. If you could introduce
Sorry,
yourself,
thank
please. Ma'am? If you could introduce yourself.
Sandra Middle.
Thank you.
Sandra.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and ask the question to the chair. You'll
Direct all
Okay.
your questions here. This
The
is
question is, the empty lot that, where your pump is now, that piece right on 46, if you rezone it, then could apartment block be built on that piece of property, which would be facing right out my kitchen, and I don't want that. Anyways, that's my question. Yeah, the rezoning is not just gonna affect that building that you have there now, that you sold. And I understand that the other apartment building, it has certain rules that has to go by. Okay, so if you change the zoning on supposedly senior center, would that change the zoning on the lot that's right on 46?
The answer is no. The only consideration tonight is for Skyline number 4. The undeveloped lot is not up for question this evening.
Yes, but once you open the can of worms, how many are gonna crawl out?
Well, if you were to look at that R4 district, you could have quite a lot of density within that current district
I
itself.
know.
So
And so therefore it's going to develop, or
it will develop
decrease our
someday.
property.
Well, that's never a proven point of view, so.
Yeah, in my point of view, it will decrease our property.
So the
That's
empty
all I
lot
have to
is
say.
an R4, correct?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Any other questions? Nobody else has any questions? Well, if there's no further questions, we'll close the public hearing.
Can I ask you a question first? Gavin, can you just clarify, you said there's already an R5 on the southeast corner, is that of 8th Street and 520?
There's an R4.
R4?
That's Skyline 6, I believe.
No, in the new subdivision across the road, is that what you were saying is already into the plan? The annex land?
Yeah, so if I could just get up.
It's on the southeast corner, kitty corner to the Cottonwood? I just have to try and figure out where you're saying
So
it is.
this map here.
Yeah.
This is the land here. This is all proposed for a higher density residential.
Right, so it's already there,
Just opened it.
Follow the door.
it's adjacent
In
to
the
it,
municipal development plan.
right,
But
But-
it's
Municipal
currently in
development.
the MD.
okay.
So we're looking at this parcel here,
Right.
right across the street. There's this proposal for higher density.
Okay,
Across the street,
I was just trying to locate it.
isn't it across the
Behind the facility,
Right,
to the west.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just wondering if this was something you're voting on relatively soon, like the last time.
Well, tonight there will be, later on, there will be, yeah, it is coming up for second and third reading, but again, we're only dealing with the R4 to R5, nothing to do with inside the building. That's separate permit applications. So.
That was the same case last time, but they still voted it down, knowing that in the future, they felt that there would be a change to those size apartments, the same intent as this gentleman has.
Okay. Yes, in the back. Oh, Doug.
Yeah, Doug Cameron. I guess my question is, originally it was designed as an R4, it was approved as an R4. The building was built to accommodate seniors, which it never happened. So why going to an R5 from an R4 is gonna make any difference?
I think there's, Gavin, there's been some changes and fine tuning of the land use bylaws, correct?
Well, I guess we can answer this multiple ways. If you were to look strictly at the R4 district, it currently still has a group home, nursing home, extended care, seniors housing. All of those could be as many units as anybody devises that could fit on that lot, as long as you can meet the height and the setbacks. So the district, I think, allows a 2-story, 35 foot, that's 3-story. So the corner building, I think, is a 2-story, it might be a 3-story.
3-story.
So it could be a 3-story building, it could have many more units than it already has. The unit size, though, at this point is actually adding units, so it's probably double. It's probably not at its full capacity, but it certainly is right there in the current zoning. So the vacant lot could be built to that same capacity of density.
And that's already zoned that way.
Yeah.
So it could be another 3-story walk up there.
Yeah, so I guess my question with the current development, why can't he do what he plans on doing as an R4?
That apartments was the singular So apartments used to be put into another district, and they pulled it out. When they rewrote the bylaw, apartments were pulled out and put into their own district, forcing anybody in town that wanted to do apartments to do a rezoning, so that we could have a public hearing, we could let the neighbors know. The process then could run its course and make sure that everybody gets heard before the decision is made. Before, it was just a use. We would have went right to the permit, and there would have been one notice for the permit, and we would have run the permit just to see what the neighbors said. As far as the apartment. So this has a two-pronged process to it.
But I really don't quite understand if it's gonna be rented to seniors, whether it be an R4 or an R5. It'll work under an R4, will it not? Because that's what they propose to do with it.
It won't as defined. So he says he wants to do apartments. He didn't say he wanted to do senior housing. He said he wanted to do apartments. That forces the rezone. Now, I think the applicant is well aware of what is in the R4 district. There is a boarding house, there's group home, there's a number of uses that if he was to apply for that, he wouldn't have to do the rezoning.
So okay.
And through the chair, if I can respond,
Yeah.
it's a great point. It's actually probably the best point brought up today. Ultimately, the intent is the exact same as what was the development. It was. This is for seniors. There has been some changes procedurally that have given rise to this application, but I give, in a public forum, on paper, in writing, I give everyone my sincere word. This is intended for seniors. We've talked to people within the community. The response of people in their early 60s, more of an independent seniors, is what I believe the market is looking for. So ultimately, if we could do it under the existing zoning, sure, that would be great. But procedurally, there are some procedural changes that have given rise to this, but ultimately, that's the reason for this application, so thank you.
What was the reason for seniors not moving in there originally?
That is part of the history of that building that nobody in this room knows, so we can't answer.
Well, we've
For
had
past
other
owners.
people that have visited it with the intent of moving in there originally, and they wouldn't because of the size of the apartments.
Again, that's
I know.
That's
it's
not part of this hearing, Graham, and I'm sorry, but we're
Can I ask you
dealing,
another
we're
question?
dealing with the zoning, not the interior.
Are there, you'll probably say, again, you're not gonna respond to my question, but are there any other apartments that have a size of less than 500 square feet in this town?
Again, I don't know the history of every
Can you
building in
find that
town.
out, please, before the next hearing?
We can investigate that before before the interior ones are done. I mean, but that again, this building's on its own merit. Whether there's other areas in town, that's really, it's not part of this hearing.
Well, if you were an apartment owner, I think it would be of interest, which I intend to contact if this goes through, just so that they can be aware of what's going on, because I'm sure they would be a little perturbed knowing that there's a competitor out there who had the bylaw waived, and he would gain an advantage.
Yeah, again, I don't know the history of the building.
Can I say something again?
Yep.
Is there any way we could make it, have the planning commission say that seniors or people 50 and up could live there, so we don't get other kind of tenants? I'm sure there's enough seniors in Claire's home that can't afford to buy a house and can't afford to move into the expensive seniors residence places that could possibly go into that building. And that's the only, I'm just worried that there's going to be another apartment building go up on that property.
Well,
And I don't want to move again,
and again,
so that's
that'll
why.
be part of the next permit application for what goes inside, so this has no, we have no authority here to direct what's going into that building right now. We're simply dealing with the zoning.
You're changing the bylaw, but if you change the bylaw,
But that's only for the zoning. There will be another hearing for what goes inside. And that'll be where you will bring up that kind of information. I mean, they'll need a permit to develop the interior, from what I understand. Gavin has laid that out, and there'll be a process, and there'll be notification going out again, and there'll be another hearing for that.
Well, as I told you earlier in the evening, they're already renovating that building.
Well, they
So
own
they have full,
yeah, they are, you said
under
they're
the
in there.
concept that is, that the bylaw is gonna get passed and they'll be able to do whatever they want with the building.
Well, again, I can't speak for that, but,
Right, that's.
I just can't-
I'm against you passing the bylaw, so
okay,
there, now somebody else can say something.
anybody else?
I have a question. Does this have something to, I'm so not familiar with what's going on with that building. Is this a concern about having low-income housing for people who are not seniors? Is this a concern that you're gonna have young drug dealers? I'm gonna just say it, because no one
Yes.
else will.
Yes,
Then you're discriminating against.
I don't care, it's my property.
No, yeah, your
That I'm
property is,
concerned
no,
with.
exactly. I'm just trying to understand what the, opposition is to it. You can't guarantee that it's gonna be only seniors moving in, right?
Yes.
Well, at this
I
stage,
think
we're
you
not
can, because
looking
there
at
are a
who.
lot of adult living facilities that you have to be 50 years and older, no children under the age of 14 allowed unless they're visiting. There are ways of ensuring that the intended seniors are getting the opportunity for these affordable housing, something that's small enough for them to maintain yet retain some independence, which is something that Claire's Home needs desperately. There's a lot of seniors that can't afford to live in the Cottonwood. They can't pay $3,000 a month. They wanna stay together as a couple, you know?
That was kind of what I said.
So that's how you get past it, it will be an adult living facility with restrictions. There are adult, resorts that you can go to for vacation where there's no children allowed. There are ways to handle this without, making it such a big argument. It's gonna be, with me not knowing anything about this and walking in and listening to what I've heard, to me it seems pretty simple, but then I'm pretty simple.
No, you're not, but.
I get it.
So again, I'll just reiterate, this, as Gavin has pointed out, we are strictly looking at zoning. What will go in the building will be handled by the NPC in a separate permit application for the interior. Is there anything else about the zoning? Okay, I guess if we could have somebody move to close the public hearing. Councillor Gurch. All in favor of closing the public hearing? Carried.
Motion to reconvene.
Oh yes, we gotta reconvene. Motion to reconvene. Councillor Carlson. All in favor of reconvening? Carried.
I have to excuse myself.
Could we note that Councillor Zimmer has an emergency at work and needs to leave?
Sorry, thank you.
You might make it. Don't get dirty.
Take care. Yeah.
I'll pull you out.
Okay, we'll just move ahead with the first delegation is Tony Walker from the Community Future Alberta Southwest.
Hello, Council. Thank you for giving me some time on your agenda this evening. Is it just a click of the mouse that will advance the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it should. But this is not coming. Here we go. There it is.
Rob, turn the light on. Other one. No, that better.
Okay. Okay, so as introduced, I'm Tony Walker, the General Manager for Community Futures Alberta Southwest. Recently relocated our office to Fort Macleod, Alberta from 25 years in Pincher Creek. Big move, but we are all settled now. We are a federally funded government program, have been since 1992. Our office started in 1992, so we just celebrated our 25th anniversary. Down in Pincher Creek for those first 17 years or so, we were known as Southwest Alberta Business Development Institute, so some of you may have known us from our historical name of that. Changed our name to Community Futures Alberta Southwest in 2007 when all of the business development centers across Canada changed their names to Community Futures. So, oh, gotta click. I got a little bit ahead of myself. So, who we are, we have 27 offices here in Alberta. As I mentioned, we just moved ours to Fort Macleod. We get a $293,000 annual budget from Western Diversification Canada, WD, our funders. They gave us $1.6 million 25 years ago, and we've grown that to a $4.1 million portfolio. We currently have $1.5 million in loans and $2.3 million ready to loan. If the math doesn't work, it's because we bought a building in Fort Macleod that is now owned by the corporation. So that was our, rather than facing a rent increase, we bought a building. We are a nonprofit organization guided by a volunteer board of directors staffed with business professionals, actively engaged in developing and implementing community economic development strategies in Southwest Alberta. Community economic development strategies come in two different ways. One is business development and one is economic development. We do both, and that's what makes us a little bit different from some of the other economic development associations in the area. So we are a business development center that can make loans of up to $150,000 to individuals interested in starting, expanding, or purchasing a business. We are an entrepreneurial development center that provides business training, counseling, and coaching to individuals interested in starting, expanding, or purchasing a business. Our current board, is made up of representatives throughout the region. My region includes just east of Fort Macleod, south to Cardston, west to Cowley and Lundbrook, and north to Staveley. Currently, my chair is Lloyd Curl, was a councillor in Cardston County, is no longer a council person. Bill Hart is our vice chair. He represents the town of Fort Macleod. Dave Edmonds is our treasurer, representing the town of Cardston. Mike McAlonan is our director, representing the town of Claresholm. And Bev Garbett is our secretary, representing the MD of Pincher Creek. We currently have two vacancies on our board. One is the town of Pincher Creek. Igor Gruich just resigned a couple months ago, the newest member to our board, but conflicts of interest with his work. And the MD of Willow Creek. Dave Mulholland sat on our board for many, many years, but the government came up with some new rules that you couldn't sit on our board more than 9 years. So both he and Shirley Isaacson had to retire in March of 2016. Fortunately, we were able to fill Shirley's role, but we are still looking for a person to represent the MD of Willow Creek. These are not appointed representation, they are members at large. So we do ask councils, chambers, economic development committees for recommendations when we do have vacancies. And like I say, right now we are looking for MD of Willow Creek and the town of Pincher Creek. Before I go on to our services, I took out a slide here that introduced our staff. I didn't like my picture. One of our staff, our newest staff, is from the town of Claresholm, and she's here at the meeting tonight, Tammy Morrison. Okay. She is our Community Economic Development Coordinator and works with the communities on economic development. The other person in the office is Kirk Clements. Kirk and I have both been there for about 10 years, and we help the business clients with their business planning and then see them through to the loan process if that's what they need. Not all of our clients need loans. Some just need help with their business planning. Some just need help with a third-party plan to take to a bank or friends and family to get their financing. So we're not just about loans. So we do one-on-one business counseling. We do the business planning. We do ongoing coaching and mentoring. We have a resource library in the office that used to be funded pretty good. We got new books every year, but lately the library just does not work. People seem to be able to find most of the information they need online. And economic development. In the realm of economic development, we can partner with anybody to do anything. We are a small office, so we don't take on too large of projects, but we can sometimes leverage our money, the federal government money, some provincial money, and get economic development projects done.
Do you want questions now or at the end?
At the end. Sure. I'll just go through this. This is a slide of some of our partners. Obviously our funder, Western Economic Development Canada, WD. They are our biggest partner. We also partner with Chambers of Commerce. I do sit on the board of all of the chambers in our area. Economic development officers and committees, so we look forward to working with Brady and have worked with Justin in the past. We also partner with towns, county, and MD councils and regional economic development alliances such as Alberta Southwest and South Grow. History of lending by community. You could really see the advantage of us being located in Pincher Creek to the residents of Pincher Creek and the MD of Pincher Creek. If you add those two numbers up, it's 41% of the loans that have been done in the Pincher Creek area. Now that we've moved to a more central location, we're hoping to change this graph up a little bit. The other thing that comes to mind with this graph is that 1.6 million that the government gave us 25 years ago, $1 million at first, 600,000 a few years later. We have lent that money out to the tune of $12 million over the years, and that's why the portfolio is still worth 4.1 million. We have very few losses. Used to consider ourselves lenders of last resort. We now like to call ourselves an alternative financing institution because our rates are so competitive with the banks now. And our current programs, so we are embarking on a new marketing campaign. The slide was a little bit earlier, make a profit, make a difference. So you might see our poster up around town, and there's a lot of online advertising, just trying to grow the loan portfolio. We did a project a couple of years ago called Invest Southwest Alberta, where we have profiles of all of our communities on the Invest Southwest Alberta website, and Alberta Southwest is now going to look after that website. So my previous economic development person built the website and maintained it for a couple of years. We lost him to a provincial job up in northern Alberta, and during that time we didn't want the website to be neglected, so we've turned it over to Alberta Southwest, and they will be looking after the website. I believe they're also going to be incorporating Townfolio, which I read this council supported at the last meeting. We also have our youth entrepreneur camp every year. We've been piloting a project with Rotary, and the camp is now officially named Rotary Alberta Youth Entrepreneurship Camp. So every year we take 60 youth to Cypress Hills in southeast Alberta, and we put them through a business camp. They borrow money from a banker, they build their product, and then on Saturday, business day, they sell their product to all their friends and family that have come to pick them up and take them home from camp. So I have a lot of, let's say, interesting products. I have rocks, I have picture frames, I have tie-dyed t-shirts, whatever anybody wants, I probably have. We also run the Chinook Entrepreneur Challenge. It's actually run out of the CF office in Lethbridge. That is a business plan competition, and this year it's just winding up. Actually, the plans were submitted at the end of March, and the screening and grading is going on right now. That total, the first prize for that contest is $60,000 in cash and in-kind prizes. A very good leg up for any business who wins that challenge. And this year we had the most applicants from our region for the history of the Chinook Entrepreneur Challenge. And again, we owe it all to online just getting that word out and people submitting their business plans for grading. They might not win, they might know that they're not going to win, but each business plan is screened by 3 business analysts, and then they get their feedback back to that person to help them with their business planning. And we currently have a program for entrepreneurs with disabilities where we can make loans at a little bit less of an interest rate, and we have some supports and systems that the entrepreneurs with disabilities might be able to take advantage of. In some communities, we do business improvement loans. That is an interest-free loan to business owners up to $10,000, where the interest is paid by the local municipality. Currently, we do business improvement loans at 6%. We just have a letter of understanding with the municipality, and interest is calculated and paid at the time of approval. The municipality can actually help decide what the loan is to be used for. The program was introduced mostly for downtown upgrading, for derelict buildings, things like that, where even a splash of paint or new windows, doorways might go a long way in upgrading a building. This is a program that I'm offering to the town of Claresholm. I've offered it before, and we didn't have any uptake the last time, but it's always something that's on the table from Community Futures. We have 2 websites. The southwest.albertacf.com website is our main website, looked after by the provincial organization out of Cochrane. And we have our investsouthwestalberta.com, as I said, is a bit of a lead generator or a investment attraction type website with profiles and success stories and opportunities throughout the region. Many financial institutions and business organizations refer the entrepreneurs directly to us. We can often loan money to businesses that are turned down by traditional lenders. We can work creatively with financial institutions on joint financing. We can be the second money in, so we might not be as secured as the first person, but we are, of course, still looking for security on all of our loans. What makes us a little different from the banks is the counseling, coaching, and workshops. We help entrepreneurs, and we believe in small business. That is it for my presentation. Didn't want to take up too much of your time. I know most of you know about us, but I would entertain any questions if there are any.
I have one. And you say you're on your services, you got business planning and individualized one-on-one business consulting.
Right.
Does that cost them as well? Is that something that the only thing they're paying you is the interest on their loans?
The only revenue we receive is interest on loans. Yeah. All of our services are free because it is government money that we're utilizing. However, we do set a limit on the planning of 6 hours of consultation. So if a business plan is going to take more than that, then we might introduce a fee. We've never introduced a fee.
That's very good. I have another one if nobody else does.
Go ahead, Lon.
So your Chinook Entrepreneur Challenge must be older people going into business. Is that it?
Nope. No, actually it's mostly younger people.
Okay,
and there's a stream from the university.
Okay.
There's a
so
technology stream.
that comparatively to the Alberta Youth Entrepreneurship, I mean, you get amazing return on your money. I mean, kudos to you guys. You're doing very well. But how do the kids enroll in something like this? Do you advertise it somewhere? Age qualifications?
It is just starting to come out. We do visit the high schools every year where the 13 to 15-year-olds hang out.
13 to 15, that's
Yep.
what I need to know, okay.
And we sponsor 4 from our region automatically, and then Rotary clubs throughout the region can also sponsor youth. And then at the end of the sign-up session, if there are still vacant spots, we can fill spots from our roster. So we do have a...
how many are you talking? 10, 100?
Oh, 60 is the total.
60, well that's quite a few.
Yeah, 60 13 to 15-year-olds, 10, 17, and 18-year-olds, and they would be past campers that come, and they are called youth leaders. They are the liaison between the team leaders and the youth. And then there's about 20 other volunteers for the rec activities. Myself, I volunteer every year to be a bunk master. So I look after half of the boys from 10 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning, make sure that we're all behaving ourselves and only doing approved pranks. And then in the morning I turn them back over to their leaders, and they get back to their business plans and rec activities.
That's really great for the youth and amazing return on your investment. Good
It has
for
been,
you
yeah.
guys. Yeah, very good.
Tony, you said you bought a building in Fort Macleod. Is it up and running? You're
Yes.
operating out of there now?
Yeah.
Where is it?
We are right downtown on Main Street, Colonel McLeod Boulevard, 436. It's an old dentist office, Giesbrecht Dentist. and right in between 2 motels. So lots of parking, lots of visibility, big sign,
I saw it.
great.
Did a good job.
Okay, any other questions?
Okay, and my card is in the folder. If any of you have any clients who you think might benefit from giving us a shout, please do so.
Well, thanks for coming, Tony.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, it's great.
Thanks, Tony.
Okay, we have another delegation. Darla. Darla's here?
I don't think Darla came.
She's not here.
I didn't think I saw her out there.
She's not here.
Well, I guess we'll,
Can you pass it?
What are we doing?
well, she was coming about farmer's market, open mic, and the downtown market. It used to be behind Thurston Pharmacy. Speak up. The mic's being blocked by the.
Or are we gonna do it without
So
her
we,
here?
we really can't do, can we do it without her? I mean, we got the information, or?
The information is there in front of you for the presentation. They're looking at using the downtown parking lot for the farmer's market and also open mic night and the Saturday downtown markets. So I apologize, I don't know, we maybe miscommunication with her on the time or something, but we'll follow up with her and maybe have her come to the next meeting.
She was just hoping to secure those dates.
Yes, okay.
Well, I don't really see the need for her to rush down here at the next meeting. I mean,
Okay.
this is pretty straightforward. It's a big thing for town. I would hate to see the farmer's market not get that scheduled. Open mic worked very well last year. It attracted a lot of people to Ringrose Park. I think it was great, and I believe there was 2 or 3 of those downtown markets in the alley last year.
And now they want to make it a regular from 9 to 4:30
And they want to
every
use
Saturday.
the same spot as I believe, the same spot as the farmer's market. Yep.
They're looking at being on the west side of the parking lot there for a little more protection.
Yeah,
you know,
get out of the
within
alley,
sign.
and then you're not blocking traffic. And
Correct.
like,
But the whole Saturday thing is a new thing, isn't it? To take it up for an entire all-day Saturday?
no, they did it 3 times last year, the 9 to 4:30.
Right, but didn't run consecutively every single
Correct.
Saturday.
Now they
Yeah.
went from June 2nd to September 26th.
Correct.
So do you want to wait for more information, or what is the feeling of council?
My only concern is about in terms of parking for the other businesses that utilize that parking lot for like home hardware or
Especially on a
the store.
Saturday.
Yeah,
Every Saturday.
yeah, every
Well, then
Saturday.
let's just leave it, and we'll invite her to the next council meeting. We'll get a little more information,
I'd like to get more information as well.
because we got lots of time here. So, okay, so we'll move on. Action item. See you, Tony. Okay, we'll move on. Bylaw 1640, land use bylaw amendment. We just had the public hearing on it, and we are open to second and third readings. Depends on the council feels.
Well, I think we should move it into R5. I think it's the first step to moving the town forward and utilizing that building.
You making motion for?
Sure, I'll make the motion.
Okay,
Yeah, the
Councillor
second-
Courage for second reading.
Second reading.
Can we get that question back?
Moved by Councillor Courage to give bylaw number 1640, a land use bylaw amendment, second reading.
All in favor of second reading? Carried. Would anybody be interested in third reading today?
I'll do third.
Councillor Courage?
Carlson.
Very sorry about that.
Just work your way down the alphabet.
I'll get down there. Councillor Carlson. Question, please.
Moved by Councillor Carlson to give bylaw number 1640, a land use bylaw amendment, third and final reading.
All in favor? Carried. Number 3, correspondence. Oh, Marion, you want to address this? Oh,
Yeah.
bylaw 1641.
Did I skip
council
one?
code of
Oh,
conduct.
I did. I checked it off. Sorry about that. Bylaw 1641, Code of Conduct. We need third and final
Miss-
reading.
Mr. Chairman, sorry, I just have a couple of typographical errors that have been noted in the bylaw. So the beginning of the bylaw states that it's a bylaw of the town of Claresholm in the province of Alberta to establish a councillor code of conduct. But then further down in the short title, we call it the council code of conduct bylaw. So I would suggest that we change that first wording to be council code of conduct rather than councillor. And then under part 2, 2.1E, again, there's a grammatical error there. It says councillor means a member of council and includes the mayor.
Yeah,
We just need to remove the word the.
That's the one I caught.
Yeah, okay. Any others? Can I have a
That's
motion?
all I have.
Can I have a motion to amend bylaw 1641 to those two? Councillor Carlson, not Curtis. You ready?
Yeah, okay. So moved by Councillor Carlson to amend bylaw number 1641 to indicate that it is the council code of conduct bylaw and to amend part 2.1E to remove the word the.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, now, I can call for third reading of the Code of Conduct. Bylaw
Can I
1641.
just ask one question about this here? When I was rereading it,
Mhm.
part 6.2, it says here, members shall conduct and convey council business and all their duties in an open and transparent member, except under but in doing so, allowing the public to view in process the rationale which was used. Wouldn't that mean that all our public meetings have to be video online?
No,
How else would they view it?
they're reviewing it right now.
They would be here or
They
online.
have the opportunity to view it.
Yeah, they
in
have
a
the
public
opportunity.
forum.
In a
Doesn't
public
mean,
forum.
it doesn't mean that we have to give every available option to that.
So not online.
No.
No, but they still have the ability to, if they choose to, show up at the meeting, right?
Okay. And I'm still not happy with the investigation part, but guess we have to vote on that.
Okay. Is somebody willing to, boy, that was quick. Councilor Schlossberger, question please.
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to give bylaw number 1641 regarding council code of conduct third and final reading.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next, Marion, we have a correspondence from the Honorable Deron Billis, Minister of Economic Development and Trade. Could you address the CARES?
Yes, so this letter is from, as you said, the Minister of Economic Development and Trade, and they are announcing that our application to the CARES program, which is the Community and Regional Economic Support Program, was approved in the amount of $87,500, and that's for our industrial land development project that was in the budget. And the total cost of that project was $175,000, so we're able to move ahead now that we've got this grant approved.
Okay. Next is correspondence from the Honorable Shay Anderson, Minister of Municipal Affairs. This is a new accountability program called MAP. Marion.
Yes, so the Ministry of Municipal Affairs has come out with a new program effective April 1st, 2018. They call it a MAP, Municipal Accountability Program. So municipalities with a population of 5,000 and less will participate in this program, and they're going to look at doing these reviews of municipalities, working with the staff there to assist them to enhance their support to municipalities. they're looking at doing a quarter of those municipalities on an annual basis. The program itself is designed to do bylaw policy and procedure review and just give input to the CAOs on how those can be improved through that process.
Okay, that's the information
So
at this time.
they've created another screening process or evaluation process?
It's not really a screening process, it's more of a support mechanism to work with municipalities that maybe don't have the resources, being a population of 5,000 and less, to have particular expertise on staff. So municipal affairs will come in and look at some of their policies, procedures and bylaws and just give recommendations. And all of that will be done through the CAOs, and then a report will be provided back to the council. So,
The council.
Like an annual report?
Just after the review is done, then there would be a report provided with recommendations for any changes.
Okay, thank you.
And elected officials are not involved in this.
Right.
It would be done strictly with administration.
Correct.
Yeah. No.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll take it for information at this time until our turn number comes up, I guess. Number 5, correspondence, Alberta Municipal Affairs, ACP, the Alberta Community Partnership Program. Marion.
In 2017, we applied for an Alberta Community Partnership Grant for the opportunity to partner with the town of Fort Macleod and the town of Nanton to acquire a grant writer on behalf of those municipalities and for the nonprofits within those municipalities. And that grant has been declined by Municipal Affairs, so we won't be proceeding with that project.
Okay, again, information. Number 6, correspondence, Alberta Municipal Affairs, invitation to a new performance measure. This seems like duplication. It's similar, but not the same as the MAP program. Marion, you want to give us a
Right,
rundown?
so again, Municipal Affairs has come up with a new program. It won't take place until 2019 to 22 business plan year for the province. But what they're going to do is look at reporting on the percentage of municipalities that are deemed to be not at risk. And there's 13 defined financial governance and community indicators that they'll be using. Those indicators will draw from information that's provided through our audited financial statements, through municipal election results. So looking at, do you have enough people
Interest.
running for office
Yeah.
to fill the spots? Information provided through municipal census, so if there's a decline in population. And as well, instances where the minister may be required to intervene. So those are just some of the criteria that they'll be using. But those, like I said, there's 13 defined metrics that they'll be using. And all of that will be published annually by Municipal Affairs and will be reported back to the councils where there is deemed to be some risk involved with the municipality. So they'll collect that information through a number of sources, being our financial information returns, our audited financial statements, census, all of those kind of things.
And then once you hit so many risk factors that are indicators, then your town becomes an at-risk.
Yeah.
Yes,
Map.
exactly. And then the Municipal Affairs would then come and work with the municipality to identify what those risk factors might be. Because there could potentially be some one-offs that doesn't mean the municipality's at risk. Or they may assist the municipality to look at how do you better position yourself to continue to be sustainable as a municipality. Or they may come in and do a review of the municipality from a viability standpoint and determine whether there's the necessity for the municipality to perhaps dissolve if it's at significant risk.
Any other questions? It goes hand that. I don't understand why the duplication. It's 2 programs that are very similar, but I understand why this one's there, because the last seminar I took, there's apparently about 60 communities in Alberta that are at risk of dissolution. So this is to capture them and to try and help them out, I guess. So
It's interesting in here as well. you know, with the previous letter about the MAP program, population's 5,000 and under, municipal affairs says that's 73% of the municipalities in Alberta. That's a significant component of municipalities.
Yeah, significant number.
Wow.
Okay. We move ahead to number 7, Alberta Urban Municipality Association. It's their analysis of the provincial budget. Yeah, we'll take it for information.
Super light reading.
Oh, I hope you read it.
Oh.
Number 8, workers' compensation. National Day of Mourning is April 28th. It represents, I believe it was 166 deaths last year on the workplace. So this is a way of showing support for that. You got anything to add to that, Marion?
In previous years, that's been directed back to administration. We have flown our flags at half-mast that day to recognize
it.
the date.
But you don't need a motion for that, you'll just so we'll
direction
refer it back to administration.
And we can deal with it.
Perfect. It's amazing the number, 166 deaths in the workplace. Number 9, Willow Creek Regional Waste Management Services. This is their yearly requisition, and Keith sits on that.
Brad does that.
Nope, that's right, I took Keith off and I put Brad on there.
Yeah.
Any questions or any, it's just basically, it's not like it's just information for us to tell us where our rates will be and what the requisition is on a per capita basis. We'll take it for information. We don't need a letter of support or, no, I didn't think so.
That amount of requisition is included in the budget.
It's already included in our
recommendations
budget.
that we have coming forward.
That's what I thought. Okay, number 9, Willow Creek, number 10. Porcupine Hills Classic Cruisers, the 25th annual show and shine, Sunday, August 12th. They are requesting the Centennial Ball Diamonds again. Any
Do we have to
discussion?
motion that?
Yep.
Yeah, I would motion that. I think that's a great
Yep.
event.
Oh, it's a great event.
Yep.
I love that event.
Where else would you put it?
Exactly. Well, they put it downtown.
Of
That
course.
didn't work too well down there.
Better on the grass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So many
question
guys.
please.
Moved by Councillor Courage to allow the Porcupine Hills Classic Cruisers to host their event at the Centennial Park Ball Diamonds on August 12th, 2018.
All in favor? Carried. Number 11, correspondence, Claresholm Lions, fireworks at Winterfest. The Lions have they were a big supporter of Winterfest. Did during Fair Days, yeah, and they are requesting that we leave it there. Now, one of the arguments that supports it is Grantham has Canada Day fireworks. It's well attended, and if we were to switch ours to support Winterfest, you'd have 2 events to go to in 1 year instead of conflicting events. So it's something to think about.
I fully support it. Because it's a fire hazard at the best of times.
Well, it's a lot safer in the winter when it's wet or there's snow on the ground. So.
Yeah.
You can set them off at 7 o'clock too.
Yeah.
That was wonderful.
It was a little earlier. The kids are still off. Yeah.
Kids are still awake.
We can all watch. But we need to send out a foghorn to all the animals out there.
Yeah, they wake up after the first one. So would anybody like to make a motion to support this?
I will.
Councilor Schlossberg? Can we hear, do you have anything formulated over there?
Well,
They
yes,
didn't
I
have this
can-
one pre-wrote.
I wasn't,
You weren't prepared.
Didn't think we were making a motion.
We tricked you.
Is it something that actually needs a motion?
to change the planning
I
of
think
it?
we should.
Mhm.
Because
he's
it's in,
asking for.
we always, like, it's part of Fair Days, so I think we need a motion to move it away from Fair Days.
I think that's why he's asking
Or
for
not
it,
Fair
right?
Days, I'm sorry, Canada Days.
Canada Day. That is, the other option is Fair Days, but it's even drier than.
Yeah, it's even drier then, so. Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to support the fireworks moving from Canada Day to the Winter Festival going forward.
All in favor? Carried. Number 12, news release, Alberta Environment and Parks. This is, they're looking for public input for the Livingston Porcupine Hills. They've got a lot of plans out there, the same as they did in
Castle.
West Castle. Designated areas for random camping, designated trails for quads, limited use of the areas, that kind of thing. So there's a website and the information here. So basically, this is just for information for us, but to get it out into the public that they are looking for input to limit our camping and our quadding and limit our access to the wilderness, unless you're walking. All right, we'll move on. That's just information. Next is a request for decision. Updated budget. Marion?
The operating and capital budgets for 2018 have just had to be amended. They were originally approved on, I believe it was March 12th. Sorry, yeah, March 12th. So since that time, we've acquired some information regarding the MSI operating grant. The Alberta Education Property Tax requisition has come in, as well as the requisition for the Porcupine Hills and the updated landfill solid waste management fee. So also during the week of March 26th, there was a problem at the fire hall with the antenna on top of the building with their communication devices, and there was a signal loss. So we've moved ahead with replacement of that antenna. We estimate the cost of that between $2,000 and $4,000, and the MD of Willow Creek will share that 50-50 with us. So those are some of the changes that we've had to make. So we're recommending that, well, sorry, let me back up here. We also, with the MSI operating, we received an additional approximately $20,000 from the provincial government at the budget announcement time. So the offset of all of that is actually a reduction in the property tax revenue that would be required based on our original budget. So as I said, MSI operating is approximately $20,000 more. The Alberta Education Property Tax requisition was less than estimated by about $6,700. So with all of those changes, we only require 1.44% increase, which we had looked at a 2% increase in the original budget. So I will just point out to you, first of all, this updated budget needs to be approved prior to passing first reading of the mill rate bylaw that is next on the agenda. So in the budget document that's been presented to you, where the changes have been made is in the net municipal taxes. We decreased that to $3,162,061 from $3,180,178. We also increased the government transfers for operating from $483,790 up to $505,487. The expenses, we increased the fire expenses to $326,979 from $324,979, and we also increased the solid waste management $556,498 from $554,918. So that nets again to less of a tax increase than was anticipated in the original budget.
Okay, if somebody could make a motion to accept the updated budget.
I make a motion to accept.
Councillor Schultz. Could we hear the question, please?
Moved by Councillor Schultz to approve the updated 2018 operational and capital budgets as presented.
All in favor? Carried. First reading of bylaw 1643. It's the 2018 mill rate bylaw. Somebody willing to, Marion, do you want to speak a bit to it first, or?
Sure. So the mill rate bylaw is the tax rates that are set annually. So the property tax rate is calculated by taking the tax levy required, so the amount of tax that's required, and dividing that by the assessment, and then coming up with the tax rate, which is what's called the mill rate. In addition to our municipal tax rate, we also have to collect taxes for the requisitions that were given, such as the Alberta School Foundation requisition, the lodge requisition, the solid waste requisition. And each of those has to be identified separately on the tax notice. In addition to that, this year we have a new requisition called the Designated Industrial Property Requisition. It's a small amount in our budget, but it's a fee that has been set by the province for the province to do the assessment on those DIP properties. So that is also included, which is different than our 2017. So also in our mill rate bylaw, under the annexation, we are required for 25 years to charge the rate that the MD sets for those annexed properties, unless there's been subdivision or development on those properties. So the MD of Willow Creek has not yet passed their mill rate bylaw, and we anticipate having that prior to our April 23rd meeting. So we may have to make a small amendment just to those MD rates in the bylaw prior to second and third reading once we have those rates. As I said earlier, this mill rate bylaw has a 1.44% increase in tax revenue, and that was required to get a balanced budget. We did see an increase in our total assessed value of taxable properties in from 2016 to 2017. Overall, we saw an increase of about 3.71% in total assessment due to inflation, but we did see a decline of 0.93% in residential and a 3.29% growth in non-residential. So that netted out to about 3.71% increase. As a result of this, the mill rate bylaw that's in front of you tonight proposes that the residential rate in 2018 be set at 6.8, where in 2017 it was 6.705. That's a change of 1.42%. Non-residential, we're looking at, we've proposed 11.5303, where in 2017 it was 12.584. So that's actually a reduction of 8.37% for non-residential and linear and DIP. And then vacant residential, we're proposing 6.8. In 2017 it was 14.065. So again, that's a significant reduction percentage-wise of, I believe it's 51.6% in that range. This has been discussed at the Audit and Finance Committee, and this was the option that was chosen with the number of options that were presented, and so the bylaw is presented tonight to Council for first reading.
Any questions? You want to make
I'll make a motion that we give it first reading.
Councillor Moore? Any other questions before we discussed it pretty well, so. Okay, can we hear the question, please?
Moved by Councillor Moore to give bylaw number 1643 regarding the 2018 mill rate, first reading.
All in favor? Carried. Moving on, request for decision. policy GA04-18 miscellaneous fees and facility rent. Marion, this is, paper statements.
Yes, so again, this is a follow-up from budget discussions where we're looking at trying to become a little more green in the community and some efficiencies with our administration. And one of the things that we've been able to do for a number of years is actually be able to provide electronic statements for utilities. The new Municipal Government Act actually allows us now to issue electronic statements for tax notices as well. So we're proposing that there be a statement fee. So if you want a paper statement, there would be a fee attached to that. The cost of that, what we've been able to identify is that actually per statement we're paying in the range of $1.50 to $2 per statement is our cost on that when you include the paper, the time, the mailing, the postage, all of that. We produce approximately 12,800 utility bills per year and 2,000 tax notices per year, so that's a significant cost in and of itself. In the past 4 years, since we've had the ability in our software system to be able to send utility e-statements, we've actually only had about 18% of our customers take advantage of that, and we would like to encourage that be increased to a significant component of those numbers for a number of reasons, one being cost saving. So the proposed the proposed fee in the bylaw is $1.50, or in the policy is $1.50 per statement, and that's before you. The second is, as part of this policy change, is tax recovery land titles charges. So what happens in the process of a tax recovery is there's a number of land title searches and registrations that have to take place as part of the tax recovery. We can recoup those costs if we take a property under tax recovery and then are able to sell that property. But part of that is just the land titles fee itself, but there's quite an administrative component that goes into that with the time and cost of that associated with the staff involved. So we're proposing that also included in this policy is a fee for the tax recovery process, and that fee is $50 we're proposing per land title search or registration that we're doing. Again, we would be able to recover that. Most times, the majority of people in the community, a vast percentage, would never see that fee ever affect them, because if their taxes are paid within the current year, there's no need for searches or registrations with land titles. So it's simply to do with the tax recovery process or a tax arrears process. So those are the two proposals we've got in front of you tonight. One is for the tax notices would not take effect until 2019, so that people have the year to be able to get registered for their tax notices and we can have our system put in place, because we will be billing taxes here within the month. The other thing I might suggest is maybe even with the utility fee, that with the next utility statements, we send a notice out with an opportunity for residents to, just as a reminder, to sign up for the e-statements, and then they can avoid the $1.50 fee on the utility, if this is passed. So.
Okay. The only thing I would say to that last little bit was, I would like to see that notification to sign up put in the next maybe 2 or 3 statements, just because I'm as guilty as anybody. I have never read on my own statement that I could get an e-statement. I pay it automatically, then I get mailed this bill, and I always wondered why. And then when this came up, I went and looked at my utility bill, and it says right there that we could sign up. And I know, I talked to a few people and asked, and nobody sees it. You just don't read far enough.
Yeah.
You read your bill, you pay it. So I would, it's just my feeling, I think if we threw it out a few more times, you know, just a slip in there saying, please sign up, it's gonna cost you $1.50 a statement. If you don't, just to get it across. One time might not be enough.
So in the policy, would you suggest then that we have the $1.50 paper statement fee we've got on here, effective July 15th, 2018, is that sufficient, or do you want it to be further than that?
Well, that's only one notification. I'd like to see, that's just my feeling, but I'd like to see a couple of notifications.
Yeah, I agree. I think you need to give the people a notice. And if you put something bright in there, like yellow or pink or something, just saying, sign up or pay your $1.50 if you choose to. Gives the people an opportunity to go either way.
So September 15th?
Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah, that's better.
Would somebody be willing to make a motion to that effect? Councillor Schlossberger?
And the notice should be noticeable, like
It
not
should be
just
in
another
color.
white piece of paper,
Yeah.
something.
I think if it's done through social media ways.
Well, it should be done every way.
Yeah.
Social media,
On
on
the
our
website
website.
as well.
When we change the,
Yes.
when we changed the date for when taxes were due from August 31st to June 30th, we had very bright little small, it was neon pink.
Yeah.
And we put those in all the,
Perfect.
notices,
That
so
sounds
we can do
good.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, question please.
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to adopt policy number GA0418 regarding miscellaneous fees and facility rent effective April 9th, 2018, with the paper statement fee to come into effect September 15th, 2018.
All in favor? Carried. Number 16, information brief. We got the open house coming up Wednesday.
And this is from the previous
is
one,
from Jan.
feedback from the one we had in January, right?
Oh, yeah. So this is all the questions that were
This
asked.
is the answer to the questions. Did this get out to the people somehow? Do they, when they get their agenda, do they get a copy of this?
This will go on the website.
Okay.
It's in the agenda package on the website.
Because I know there's a lot of people looking for answers to the questions that they had at that last open house.
There was, once you get looking at it, there was quite a variety of questions. It was interesting to read them all. Well, we'll take that for information. Next is council resolution status. Again, that's just information. Adoption of information items. Let me make a motion for that. Councillor Courage? Question?
Moved by Councillor Courage to adopt the information items as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Motion to go in camera. Councillor Carlson. I'm trying very carefully not to say Courage again. All in favor, going in camera? Carried. We are in camera. Could you turn off the camera, please? Give us a thumbs up when we're ready to go.
She did.
Okay, could we get a motion to come out of in camera? Pick one. Question?
Moved by Councillor Courage to come out of in camera at 10:15 p.m.
All in favor? Okay. Carried. Oh, you want to stay? And there was nothing else, right? Councillor Carlson just made a motion. We are adjourned. Could you turn the camera off, please?